can tell me what what would make this change into bullying? So if one of the girls wants to hurt her, so if she maybe, even if she hits her, if it happens over, again, it's not just that she hits her or that she harms her, but it has to be that even after they finish this game, she takes her outside and she keeps haunting her and saying, you made me lose the game. You made us lose the game. And then they start fighting again. And it's somewhere where the girl is now feeling that she's scared. She's feeling like this girl is really bothering her. And it's not coming from both ends. It's coming from one end to the other. So now it becomes bullying. Now, let's take a minute. Now we know that these are two examples of conflict. Who can name me an incident of bullying? Give me an example of what you consider to be bullying. Don't be afraid. Bullying. I don't know, what did John say the word of bullying was? And we said it's a persistent. Anyone have an example of bullying? What would be considered bullying? Okay, so if someone picks on them. Now, when you say pick on them, do you think that they're hitting them? Do you think that they're saying, even by words? Okay, so bullying doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone hitting the other kid. He's saying it's by words. Okay, anyone else? Okay, let me make it easier for you. Okay, now we're going to go over the types of bullying. Very good. So this other person is controlling the other kid and making them do things that they don't want to do. That's considered bullying. So the first type of bullying we see is physical bullying. It includes hitting, kicking, tripping, punching, pushing. These are all samples of bullying that could happen. But again, it's not that it happens one time this kid punches this kid. It has to happen more than once. Has to be that they are meaning to hurt the other person, not these kids playing and they wind up knocking each other out. It eventually could turn into bullying, and we have to be careful. But that is how it is, one of the ways. The other way is verbal, name calling, insulting each other, teasing, saying racist marks to each other, things that the kids say all the time. They think it's fun. Oh, you're so dumb. You're so, what's a nice word that I can say over here? Children say it to each other all the time. Oh, you're so slow. You can't do this. But sometimes if it keeps happening and they keep saying the same thing over and over again, it becomes bullying. The other one is social emotional. Okay, so verbal is directly towards the other child. So I am directly bullying him by verbally bullying him. Social emotional is the hardest one to realize that you're being bullied because it happens behind your back. The children talk to other children about you behind your back, and they say lies, and they have rumors saying about you, and they say to the children, oh, hi, come. She'll see me later. Okay, so she's hiding from me. She's here still? Okay, so social emotional is someone making lies about a person, coming out with rumors. She likes you. She likes this person. She did this. She did that. He did this. And you know what? Who do you think does this more, boys or girls? Girls. Girls have this as their number one way to bully each other. This takes them a long way, still, till now. Oh, this applies all the, till death do you part, all the ages. Okay, girls are more likely to use this And it's hardest to identify because, again, you're telling it to other children. So it doesn't stop with you. It now is going around and everyone sees it and everyone is hearing it and you have no control to stop it. The first two, physical and verbal, it's with you. Yes, it might harm you, but it stops with you. This doesn't. It keeps going and it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. The next is the newest form of bullying and most likely now the most dangerous form of bullying. Cyberbullying. This happens over the internet and in so many different ways. It's very dangerous and it can happen to any one of our children regardless of how we keep them at home all the time or we protect them as much as we can. They will get bullied on the internet if we don't take precautions. So there's social media that we can't control. They're on the internet all the time, Facebook, Twitter, so many different sites that they can get bullied on. There's when they play games, now they have access to humiliate each other while they're playing games on the iPad or on the phones or on the internet. They have online way of chatting with each other. And now through that chatting, they can absolutely and will encounter children bothering them. They will encounter people constantly saying not good things and maybe even cursing at them or threatening them that if you don't let me win or if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. There's also verbal, they have chat rooms and they can do verbal or emotional bullying. There's instant messages, the messenger, there's phones, text messages. These are just simple ways of them getting bullied all the time by someone else. And now we have to worry that they post photos of your child all over the internet. With one click of the button, someone can post one picture that they found of your child all over the internet, through all the chat rooms, through all the Facebook media sites, through all the online games, and the child can be severely embarrassed, cause bullying, and really detraumatize them. So this is why we really need to monitor our children's access to the internet. It's not a joke. It's not something that, oh, their kids are going to be kids. No, it's serious, and this is why children eventually, we see children killing themselves. Because with this type of bullying, it's 24/7. They have access to them. They could be home in their bedroom. These children still have access to them. So it's very important. My recommendation, have your children's passwords. It's not in privacy. It's nothing about privacy. It's your child you're protecting. All Facebook, Twitter, all those accounts, you should have the passwords, and you're not doing it behind their back. You should tell them, I don't have a problem that you have this. You're responsible to have this. But I have the right to go in, and you can go in together and check what's going on. Don't do it sneaking, because then that becomes a problem. You don't want to lose their trust. You want to be able to go ahead together. Let's go through and see if there's anything that is concerning to me, anything that is alarming. You have to build this relationship of trust with them, that they can be able to talk to you and tell you what's going on. Because it's embarrassing sometimes for a child, or they just think it's whatever, but it's really something we have to be careful with. Now, who thinks, I will go over ways, don't stress. I will go over ways of how we're to deal with bullying. This is just the sample of what bullying is, so we know what we're dealing with. We will then go on and find out ways of how to deal with it. But let's take a little breather for the children, the people with children of younger ages that are not in school yet, that are not dealing with this intense behavior yet. of all those different types of bullying. Do you guys think preschoolers, toddlers bully? Yes? What would you consider an example of a preschooler bullying another child? Okay. Most of the time, preschoolers, children ages 3 and 4, they're not bullies. They're not people that are intentionally meaning to harm other children. But their actions do mean, like, they will be mean and they will do things that might not be nice to the other person, but they do it because they don't know how to resolve conflict. They most likely want want something from the other child, but don't know how to express it. However, it is our responsibility as parents of these preschoolers or as parents of these children to make sure that we don't say that it's okay that they hit and yell and do all that, because then they're going to get used to it. And now they realize, oh, if I want something, I can hit that person and I have that power. If I don't stop them when they start yelling at a person and abusing them and keep on doing it over and over again, they're going to say, oh, you know what? It's okay. It gets me what I want. And they will learn at a young age to bully. But at first, it's just their reaction. Their first reaction is hit that kid and grab that toy. It's our job as parents to say, no, we don't do that. That's not, and I'm going to go over exactly how we're supposed to solve that, but at least we know that we need to stop them before it gets too big. Trying to go as quick as I can. So, some strategies to prevent young children from bullying is to understand the difference between what just regular conflict is with a preschooler and what bullying is. And it's to teach them to problem solve when there is a conflict and to not say harmful, hurtful comments. It's also to set a limit on any intimidation behavior. Any behavior that's intimidating, make sure you stop it right away. And you tell them how to have a positive interaction. You also have to recognize hurtful behaviors that are intense and repeated. Make sure if it keeps happening and your child keeps doing this and doing this, you have to be careful. It's a red flag. You have to know that this child will eventually become a bully. And we need to give them the attention and find out what's going on. Why are they doing this? You have to observe them, look at them, talk to them, see why are they doing this. And then support them and teach them how to express their feelings to other children without the hitting, without the yelling. Also, a factor that we have to do with these, especially with those young children and with all children, is that they learn by example. So if you are yelling at another adult or even another child, or are screaming at everything, or this is the way that you bully people when you are arguing with someone and you're losing this battle, you are modeling to them that that's okay. That's how you solve a problem. But you have to teach them that that's not how you solve a problem. Not by abusing a person and telling them, ha ha, and laughing in their face or saying something mean to them, that's how you get what you want. Make sense? Because they're sponges. They watch what we do more than we think. Okay. Now we're back to how we're going to find out if our child is being bullied. Okay, so we don't want to know. We normally don't want to think that our child is going to get bullied. It's not something that we want to hear. Oh, they're going to be fine. They're children. They're going to survive it. But we have to be aware that it might happen. We hope it doesn't happen, but we have to know that it might happen. And we need to look for signs to find out if it's happening. Because children don't always come to us. We're the last people they want to talk to about certain things. Maybe if they're 4, 5, even 6, after that, they're not gonna tell you anything in the beginning. Even when they're younger, they might come and tell you things, or they might just not think it's important. They might like, oh well. But these are some signs that we want to look out for. Injuries, unexplained bruises, cuts and scratches. They come home, come from church. Again, this is not limited just to school. Okay, it happens in church. They come from wherever they are, they're cut up, they have bruises, they have scratches. Red flag. Then their clothes is either torn or missing, or something they have is missing all the time. Another area they always have anxiety. They're moody. I don't want to do this. No. And they become moody more than they normally are. And then they don't want to go to school, or they don't want to go to church. Red flag. Be alert. They have ongoing physical symptoms. I have a headache. I have a stomach ache. I'm tired. All reasons they don't want to go where they want to go. Yes, children don't want to do certain things and they might make this stuff up. And sometimes they do really have a stomach ache. But if it's something that's happening over and over again, and it's when they're supposed to be going to school or when they're supposed to be going to church, no, red flag, they're being bullied. Now, these are the signs that we have to look for. Now, what are we supposed to do if they're being bullied? First thing is let them know that you understand how they're feeling, and you know it hurts, and you know it's bothering them, and you take it very seriously. Don't minimize it. Don't say, don't worry, it's going to be fine. You're making a big deal out of it. Don't say that. Say, I understand. This must be very hard on you. I take this very seriously. You're very important to me. And let them know that keeping silent and not saying anything will only let the bully them even more. So tell them you have to tell someone, and we have to tell someone. In the meantime, you have to get information from them. Find out who, when, where, and what happened. Find out details. Find out if there were witnesses bullying when the bullying happened. Get as much information as you can from them. Then you go to the school, or if it's in church, you go to the church and you go to the person that is the principal or the administrator of that area. And there's certain people that are designed to help children in this situation. In school, there's someone called an anti-bullying specialist. Okay, every school is designed to have a person that is now designed to help with investigating situations of bullying and address them. They don't take it seriously. They don't take it, not seriously. As soon as you come as a parent and say, I have reason to believe that my child is being bullied, you don't have to have a lot of evidence. All you have to do is have a reason to believe that your child is being bullied. You will fill out a form. They can help you fill out that form, and they will investigate. Once they investigate, they will take matters into their own hand. And I tell you, I work in a school, they have 3, 4, 5 a day of anti-bullying specialist meetings. Why? Because parents know that the school is there to support them. If they don't do this, the children will get harmed, because the children can take it to a different extent. So don't take it quietly. No one's there to help me. No, there are people there to help you. And if your school doesn't have an anti-bullying specialist, they have a guidance counselor, they have a principal. You just tell them, I have reason to believe my child is being bullied. And they will take it from there. Now, some practical advice of what we should do with our children. Once we know that, okay, they might be being bullied and we know what's happening, it's okay to role play with your child at home, and we have to equip them with what they need to fight, not physically fight, but to get over this bully. Okay, so we have to go there and say, let's say this kid is bothering them on the bus. Okay, so we make as believe, and we make an like a little scenario and say, okay, you make as if this is happening, and then you act it out, and you try to get to see what is your child's reaction. How are they reacting? Know your child and how they react in order to help them deal with the bully. Have details, talk to them about different responses that they can have. The home is the safest place to prepare the kids for real life situations. It's not that they'll deal with it and they'll learn it on their own. You have to deal with it and show them how to do it in home so that they know how to take care of it in school. Real life strategies you're teaching your children. Have them tell an adult. Make sure their safety is not threatened. Let them know it's good. You need to talk to an adult. If it's your teacher in school, tell them. You have to always, if you feel threatened, tell an adult wherever you are. School, church, on the bus, in the playground. You need to tell the adult that is monitoring you what you're feeling and what's happening. And tell them, who's the adult? Practice with them. Okay, now you're on the bus. This is happening. Who do you go tell that this is happening to? Make sure they know in their head who they're going to go to in this situation. Not that they're going to figure it out on their own. No, give them specific names, especially with the younger children. You got to give them specific names. You're in church, go to Tante Nervine. You're at home, go, or it's with your friends in the park, go to whoever the parent is that it's happening while you're there. It's in school, tell your teacher. In the cafeteria, tell the lunch aide. Whoever it is, tell them specifics of who to tell. Another strategy you're going to teach them is to walk away. Tell them, try to avoid the situation as much as you can. If it's happening while you're going to gym, try to take a different route. It's okay. It's going to be a little longer, but at least you don't have to interact with it. Okay, if you're going to the bathroom, take a different route. Go to a different bathroom if it's happening in that same area. This is just one of the ways. You're gonna first start that way. If the person continues to follow them, then we have a different stand. But you have to first try not to make it that you're going to fight with that person. But first you walk away, don't try to fight it. Then we have a different, if it keeps happening, they keep following you regardless, then we have a different way. Okay, another way to do it is if it's someone saying something to you, deflect it with humor. Say something funny. Okay, use your humor. Fighting is not always the answer. Use your humor. Say, oh, you're so funny. Stop that. Say something that's gonna, if your child has that humor. Not all children have that humor. Me? Not that much. But maybe someone else has that ability to laugh about it and say something to make the person realize, because when you make them know that it's bothering you more and more, they're going to keep doing it. Keep doing it. But if you laugh about it in the beginning, you're like, all right, so they don't really care. I'm not going to worry about it. But if this person, every single time you go to them, you make a humor about it, they might say, oh, it's not bothering them. I'm going to just find someone else that it bothers. That's one way. Doesn't always work. It's just one tactic. You have a number of different ways to start to address it with the bully. Now, if after you tried all these three things, it still happens, you have to take a stand. Teach your child they have to take a stand. If you tried everything else, take a stand. In the Bible, it says, be strong and courageous. Moses encouraged God's people, do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. Encourage your children with this verse and remind them that the Lord is always with them. Then practice phrases. When this happens, please stop. That's not cool. Practice different phrases that they can say to make them stop. And then they also have to practice with you ways of looking at the person eye to eye, but with enough space so that the person doesn't think that they want to fight them. And teach them that if they look them in the eye, they're going to know we're not scared of them. But again, not too close where they think you're going to start fighting. We don't want to fight, because most likely our children will get injured. So that's the last resort. I don't recommend it. We take a stand, but not necessarily by hitting. The other thing we have to do, and I know it's hard, we have to pray for the bully, pray for their salvation and deliverance. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. Matthew 5, verse 44 to 45. The bully isn't the enemy. Satan is using that person to get anyone's eyes off of God. He's using it so that your fear of this person will take your eyes off of God. But we're going to keep praying for this person, this particular bully, and keep sensitive for his needs, because whether you know it or not, this bully has a reason why he's being bullied. I can't discuss that today because there's too much that I have to talk about. But another time, maybe I can tell you, there are reasons that these bullies have that they're broken inside too. So we have to pray for them and figure out that these children need as much prayer and support as our child does. You never know how God may use you and your child to help the life of the biggest bully and the biggest evil heart in the school, and change them because of the way your child treated them. Remember, nothing is too hard for God. Okay, so that's with regards to bullying. We're going to go on to conflict. I will take questions only at the end. Let me just finish this presentation. I need a drink of water. I'm sorry. Oh, this talking is hard. All right. Did I lose everyone? Is everyone afraid? No. Okay. So bullying. Now to the easier part, but to the part that we see all the time. Bullying happens, but not that often. Conflict happens all the time. Every day with children, no matter what age they are, conflict happens. Teenagers, third graders, fourth graders, adults, you can even learn a lesson or two about this too. I'm not saying anything, but all right. Laugh, guys. It's not that serious. All right. Conflict. So conflict is a normal part of a child's life. Having different needs, different wants, wanting the same thing at the same time can easily lead children into conflict with one another. She won't let me play. He took my... Tommy's being mean. She said she's not my friend. How many times did we hear that? All the time. These are complaints that we hear every day from our children. All day, all night, and we're going to keep hearing them. But we have to take action. Okay, so here we have pictures of kids fighting over certain things, that they're a toy. In the daycare, they're fighting over whatever. In the church, they're fighting over wherever. How can we do it? If conflict is poorly managed, it can have an effect on this child's relationship, their self-esteem, and on their learning. So it's not something that we can say, okay, they're going to learn it on their own, they're going to figure it out. If it's poorly managed, it's going to affect them in every situation they have. However, teaching children the skills for resolving conflict can help. Children's skills for getting along can be improved. It's not something that they're going to learn on their own. They have to improve it. They're much happier and have better friendships and learn better at school when they know how to manage conflict. Okay. We're now going to go over what are our different ways of responding to conflict. You're going to see yourself and your child in these different styles of responding to conflict. There's the force, like a shark or a bull or a lion. Okay, you're forcing, you're arguing, you're yelling, you're debating all the time. I know you guys are thinking of the person right now in your head. You're threatening, you're using everything you have to threaten the other person. But this way to resolve a conflict normally causes resentment. What's resentment in Arabic? Marara. There you go. That's the word I can say. The other one I couldn't say. Okay? And causes you to fear the other person. The other way is to give in. All right, okay, you want it? Just take it. Just take it already. Leave me alone. That's like the jellyfish or the teddy bear. Okay? This person prevents fights and tries to make the other people happy all the time. And then there's the way of avoiding. All right, I'm just going to avoid them. They're right here. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to go this way. I'm not going to talk to them. They'll solve their conflict on their own. This person says, I don't want conflict. Distracts, talks about something else, leaves the room, or even the relationship. Now, the problem with the bottom two is that this will cause the children to lack confidence. And they're more likely, with these two of giving in and avoiding, they're more likely to be bullied and to be anxious and to have negativity towards themselves, always feeling bad about themselves. All of these three ways of solving conflict are short term. They're not going to solve the real conflict. It's just something that you're going to do right now. But it's going to create other problems. So these are not the best ways to solve conflict. These are the ways we see most of our children solving conflict, and even us. But there's better ways. Okay. There's compromise. I give you a little bit, and you give me a little bit. Let's compromise about it. But the better way, even, than just compromise is good. The better way is to sort out the problem and discover ways of helping everyone get what they want. It takes a lot of work. It's not a 1, 2, 3 sort of thing, and it's not going to happen right from the first time. But it takes work, and that's what you need to do to solve conflict. Okay, in order for us to teach our children to solve conflict with that last way of sorting out the problems, and it's called a win-win situation, is by coaching them and giving them the skills they need in order to have conflict resolution. So, first thing they have to do in order for them to know how to resolve conflict, they have to manage their strong emotions. The first thing these children have when they get a conflict, they become angry and they want to yell and they want to scream and they want to hit. We want to make sure that we control that emotion. Okay? Use strategies to help them calm down. Okay? Deep breathing is one way. It's not funny, but it really works. Deep breathing, we can even use that. I need that sometimes. Counting to 10. 10. Sometimes if they know counting to 5, if they're little kids, or even counting backwards is even better. 10, 9. Backwards is better for the older children. It takes more thinking about what they're counting and more breathing. So that's the best way to get the child to calm down when they have a strong emotion. He took my toy. It really works. I see it. It's really, really good. I see it with children that I never thought it would work with. It works. Didn't work with their moms? I know. The guys are really tough to deal with, though. I'm sorry. Oh, I think we need more than just deep breathing for the guys, for the husbands. Okay. The second thing we want to do is we want to make sure they verbally express how they're feeling. Let them learn to know what's going on in their bodies. They're feeling this emotion, but they don't know what they want to, they don't know what to say. They don't know what they're feeling. Have them identify what's the problem. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling hurt. And you have to learn these words of feeling so that you can put it and give them the options, especially when they're young. You have to tell them when you're doing what you're, if he's going, you're feeling angry right now. You have to teach them their emotions and what these emotions are. They're crying. You're feeling sad. Eventually, they will know what emotion they're feeling. If you don't teach it to them, they don't know what's going on. It's your responsibility to teach them what they're feeling. Then, after you managed to calm them down, you made them express what they're feeling verbally, identify what the problem is. But he took my toy. He said this about me. So now you know what the problem is. Talk about what their wants are, what their needs are, what their fear is, what their concern is. And don't ask them for a solution at this time. Right now, you're just listening, and you're trying to have them express what's the problem. So first, manage the emotion. Verbally express the thought and feeling, and identify the problem. First 3 steps. You got it? I'm going to test you after. Just kidding. Maybe. We can use a lesson in this too sometimes, especially me. Okay. Now we want to understand the other person's perspective. Now this is the really hard one. We always look at conflict through our own eyes. We never want to see conflict through the person in front of us. I struggle with this. Right, John? Okay. Understanding the conflict from the other person's eyes. Okay? So, listen to what the other person has to say. Understand the other person's fear and concern. Understand without having to agree. We're not saying you have to agree with what they're saying, but you have to understand what they're saying. And respond sensitively and appropriately. So you're listening to them. Let's use the toy example because it's the easiest solution. Okay? You have, or not the easiest solution, the easiest example. I have a toy, he took it from me. Okay, so in my perspective, I'm feeling upset because I wanted to play with the toy. Now, I want to know what Carol is feeling when she wanted to take the toy from me. Maybe she's feeling that I had it way too long and it's her turn. Maybe she's feeling that she's going to leave right now in 2 minutes and she still didn't get a turn to play. So knowing what she's feeling is going to help you solve the conflict. It is a lot of work, I tell you, but it's worth it at the end. And then, once you've figured out your basics, you're going to generate a number of solutions. You're going to generate solutions for the problem on your own, not together, okay? Think of different options that can solve the problem. Okay, so maybe I can get to Carol and tell her, Carol, can you play with it for 1 minute and then I play with it? Or, Carol, can we play together? Again, the children aren't going to come up with this on their own. You have to support them in the beginning. You have to guide them through it step by step of how to solve this problem. And this is just a minor problem. When they get older, the conflicts are bigger. Right, Ayman? Much bigger. Oh, I don't want to even think about that age. All right. So the conflicts get bigger when they're older. This is pretty simple. The conflicts get bigger. And if they learn at a young age to solve a small conflict like wanting a toy, when they get older, they'll be able to solve a conflict with friends about something even more severe than just a game or a toy. And then, of course, during all this, you're trying to make sure that both in your solution, both people are happy. Then you're going to go and talk to the person and tell them, give them the solutions that you've come up with. And hopefully the other person is thinking of different solutions too. It's not just coming from one end. Believe important parts in this is be flexible. Don't think it's your way or the highway. Be flexible, be open-minded. Hey, Ramses, are you awake? And look after the needs of the other person and not just you. Just simple ways of getting your point across of how you can solve the problem. Okay, so you're calming down, you're knowing what the other person's feeling, and you're gathering information of what's going on, what's the other person feeling. And now, let's say with the children, okay, we want to train them to do this. So you're going to go to them and in a calm voice, you go down to their level. If they're little, if they're bigger than you, you look up to them. And then you go and say, I know you're upset right now. Validate their feeling. I know it bothers you. In a calm voice. Don't say, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep doing this? In a calm voice, say, and I know it's not easy. It takes practice. It takes a lot of anxiety pills. I'm just kidding. Don't take any anxiety pills. You go to them in a calm voice and say, what is wrong? What are you feeling? And then when you see that, you tell them, okay, you're feeling upset right now. And then you try to talk them through it and see, what are they feeling? What's going on? And use words, model it with them. Practice it with them at home. If you have siblings, practice it with your siblings, with the brothers and the sisters. Practice it so they know how to deal with it when they go into the real world. The real world is really tough. It's not easy. And if you don't have the skills, you're not going to know how to face the real world. And when we teach them the right wording of certain things, whether it's English or Arabic, it doesn't matter. The right words is going to help them learn to solve the problem. And once they solve it, encourage them, praise it. Even if it doesn't work, praise them. You did such a good job at identifying your problem. You did such a good job at knowing how that other person felt. Okay, you don't have to do this. Okay. And tell them, let's come up with 3 things that could help you solve this problem. Give them a number of things that they can use to solve it and see what comes out. Now, the other thing I wanted to go over, because we tend to have that if child is constantly hitting another child when they're younger, okay, they're constantly hitting that other child, they're constantly throwing things at each other, you have to realize that you really have to intensely go in there and make sure that you train that child to figure out why they're doing this. Why are they constantly throwing things at the other kids? Why are they hitting the other kids? And teach them step by step how they're feeling. Normally the kids don't know how they're feeling. Yes. Oh, you can't do it to anyone else's child. The parent has to do it. This is all that it's the parents' responsibility to train these children. No one else can do it for you. No one. The teachers in the schools are not going to teach your child how to solve conflict. They might try, but they're going to try to do it as fast as they can so they can get on to the lesson. They have a lesson to teach them. And in church, it's not the Sunday school's teacher's responsibility to teach them how to solve the problem. It's you as a parent. I know it's a big responsibility, but it really takes a lot of work, but we have to do that. And now, I'm going to skip all this. We went over it. On to the fun part that I'm worried about, questions. Be nice. Yes, Rihan. First thing you have to do is, in this situation, tell your child to always say, stop. That's not nice. Don't do that to me. I don't like that. That's the first step they take. They have to tell the other person, first, they have to avoid it, okay? Especially if they're really young. It's not easy for the really young children to know how to control their behaviors. It's our job as parents to tell them, that's not right. That's not how you do it. And it might be harder on other children than others. It's not saying that it's easy, but some children have a harder time than other children in controlling how they're behaving. But if it's your child that's being pushed, you have to tell your child to tell them and stand up for them, don't do that to me. It bothers me. Let them use their words. And they're at the age of 2 and 3, they have the words to say to the other person, no, that's not nice. Don't hit me. And then, if it's still not happening, you have to make sure that they go tell either you or the other parent. And then, hopefully, there's an interaction that happens at that time to make the other child know that this is not what should be done. And I would not recommend that your child don't teach the other child to hit the other child back, because it's just going to cause even more conflict, especially when they're 2 and 3 and 4. They don't know the difference. If you say hit them back, they're not going to know the difference and they're going to start hitting everyone. Okay, so that's the first few steps. If you took those steps and you really talked to Amy or whoever it is about what's going on, maybe you can teach her. Maybe you need to go to the person and find out what's going on. Maybe the other person wants the toy from her. And maybe say to her, maybe we need to share our toy. So it's not, the person that's pushing or hitting isn't just doing it because they want to do that. They want something that she has. So we have to make sure that she learns, okay, there's something that I don't know. Maybe we need to go observe what's happening. Not just leave them in the church or leave them in the school. Or in the daycare, it's a little harder. But maybe you can talk to the teacher if it's happening in the school and let them see, why is this happening? Is it happening because she has a toy in her hand that he wants? Is it happening because she's talking to someone and she's getting the attention that he wants? So you have to also find out what is going on the other side. Okay? Any other questions? While I drink some more water. You can say it in English. You can say it in Arabic, but I won't answer in Arabic. I'll understand it. I just won't reply in Arabic. Now, in bullying, you mean in bullying or in conflict? Okay, in bullying. Now, I'm not saying to always avoid the person, but if this happened one time and you know that this person's gonna be there and you're not ready to approach that person, I'm not saying to constantly avoid that person, but sometimes just being out of their way, they're gonna forget about you. But if they have the intention to harm you, they're gonna find you no matter what way you go. Okay? So if you're walking in school and you avoid the person that's bullying you in the hallway, and some of the kids just do it because they feel they can, not because they have something against you. They just feel, he's a weak person, I can just do that. But if you're not there, they're not going to do it, and they're not going to even think twice about it that you're not there. They're not going to know you're avoiding them. How are they going to know that you're avoiding them? No, you just say, I'm not doing this right now. I don't need this, and walk away. You're not going to just you're not just going to let them um, walk all over you, but you're going to say, I don't need this right now. I am not dealing with this. And you walk away. You show them that you don't need to do what, you don't need to interact and stand there and let them talk to you the way they are. It's actually better when you stand there and they're talking to you and they're saying mean things to you. You're actually, and I'm not talking about physical aggression in this situation. I'm talking about someone saying something to you, or they're saying mean things to you and you're just standing there. You either say something back to them or you walk away. I don't need this right now. Don't talk to me that way. Because if you stand there, you're going to be just more vulnerable to the bullying. Walk away. And again, this is, if it happens, it keeps happening even after you walk away, you don't keep walking away. You take a stand at that point. And you're taking a stand and saying, that's not cool, man, and walking away. And if it keeps going, even after you walk away and it happens again, then you have to tell an adult as well. And take stand and keep going and take procedure with your parents, with the parents, and tell them they have to do an anti-bullying specialist report and get the kid in deep trouble. And now they can get in deep trouble for the bullying. It's not a joke. Clarified? Okay. Any other questions? No other questions? I can't believe it. Heb, I think I saw your hand going up a little while ago. During the presentation, or were you itching your head? Oh. I know, Heb. Okay. By showing them, by taking the time, we need to, parenting. Um, okay. Okay. Good. So you as the parent, so your question is, how do we as parents do that? It's the steps you take. Yani it's nothing more than following those steps and having them express what they're feeling. Or first you're going to identify how they're feeling. I know you're upset, and maybe you need to train them by first saying it. If they don't know how to say it first, you're going to say it for them. So you saw what happened, which was good. So this is a good situation because you saw what happened. Sometimes we don't know what happened. But in this situation, you saw what happened and you go to them, I know that you're upset. I know you're sad and it bothers you. And see if he says something, yes, I am upset. Then you go to him and say, what happened? Why are you upset? And then he's going to identify the problem and say, oh, he took my book. If he doesn't say it, say, you're upset because he took your book? You're training them to say what they're feeling. So now we know what the problem is. Once we know what the problem is, say, you want the book that he took from you? Okay, yes, we now know what Danny wants. Once we know what Danny wants, be like, okay, so what do you think he's feeling now? Do you think he wants the book? Some conflict or emotions. Um, so tell him, I think, um, I think John wants that book that he took from you. Maybe we can think of a different solution of how both of you can have the book. Okay, it doesn't always mean that your child is going to get it at the end, or they'll get it, but it doesn't always mean that they have to get it in order to think that they won. It's not about winning. We don't always get what we want. They have to learn to share too. So we have to know that, okay, just because he's upset because he took his book from him, we also have to know that they have to learn to share. But they have to also know that no one can just keep taking things from them. Maybe they can stand up to him and say, "You shouldn't have taken that book from me. You need to ask nicely." And they have words. Just tell them to use it and practice it. I think just following those simple steps of validating how they're feeling. What's the other one? So they're identify how they're feeling is, or first you're gonna come on, Carol, turn her notes. Let's go back. Yes, understand the other person's perspective. Come up with a solution. So the first thing, tell them to manage their emotion, calm down, relax. Then you have them express themselves, and then they identify what the problem is, and then understand what the other person is doing and what they're feeling, come up with a solution, and negotiate a solution. Go to the other person and solve the situation. And you should, in the beginning, you need to be there helping him step by step. هو the يعني it's sometimes it's okay to say, just tell them, "I want the book back." It's okay to say that sometimes, but if it's something, that's the easiest way to do it. But that's only gonna but that's just giving a minute of resolving the conflict, but they're not really resolving the conflict. So the teacher said, just go get the book from him and tell him, "I want that book back." That's not resolving the conflict. That's just making Danny happy. Which is a good way to, if it's something simple like, "I want the book back," say, "I want the book back." But now if the kid didn't give him the book, what's he gonna do? Luckily, this kid gave him the book. Some kids be like, "No, I want the book. You're not taking it." Of course, this is the first thing they're gonna do. When a kid takes something from them, the first thing they should do is say, "I want it." That's not nice. And we teach our children to say that and identify what they're feeling and to speak up to themselves. But if that's not a conflict, that's just situation. But it becomes a conflict when you try to do that and then it doesn't happen. And then they're both fighting at it and they're both going at it, even if you say whatever. Then you have to come up with a solution. But actually, when you can take other people's opinions, but again, the teacher is solving the situation to get the situation over with. Just because that's not their goal, to just teach the children to sit and solve conflict. Their point is that the kids learn to play with each other and learn how to do this. But you as a child, as a parent, need, and actually the teachers, if she's in a daycare, will eventually should maybe do this situation if it's happening over and over again. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have, let's say she said that, it's not always going to work. So he has to learn a different way. Doesn't always mean that that way is the right way, because you can try 10 different ways, it might not work. Does that kind of answer the question a little bit or no? All the time. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. It is very true. المدرسة says it is, but I think that has to do that we don't take the sometimes we they don't see us as the authority figure. The teacher is the authority figure that doesn't take the control away from us. Maybe we can use that as a tool to use that your teacher will be happy. Just them, the teacher being happy with how you solve this problem will help. Yani when you're talking about the teacher is not going to mind and say no, don't solve the problem like this, but she doesn't have the time to spend to teach them to solve the problem like this. But yes, they will take what the teacher says because she's an authority figure and she's the person that they see 6 hours a day, and she's spending all this time teaching them and teaching them. Because if we take the time, I think, and try to teach them this way, I think eventually, little by little, it will take effect. Don't expect it to happen like this. It will take time. Yes. But that is true. But that doesn't take away the fact that we always have to be there. Even if they see us as less, we always have to be there. And we also always have to make sure that we're involved in their lives. We're always asking them what's going on, always asking them how are they feeling, what's going on. Um, don't try to minimize what they're saying. Don't try to take what they're saying and, oh, all right, they're not listening anyway. I'm not going to say it anyway. Always try to be active in your child's life and don't try to solve it the Egyptian way. Or that's the main part that I think we struggle with our children. We try to do things the Egyptian way. Oh, that's so Egyptian, guys. Or not even Jordanian. I'm not saying just Egyptian, guys. Don't think. It's not about that way, but we want to do what's right with the children. You have to understand that when you take a firm stand with our children and you set rules, it doesn't mean that they're going to hate you. They actually need that. And even if you set rules, it's not because you're Egyptian. I'm not saying that you can't um, solve things your way or give them the standards. But again, you have to understand and be educated and read about what's going on in the schools, what's going on around, so that you don't feel like you're, or they feel that you don't know what you're talking about. You have to be aware of what's going on and what they're playing, and get your knowledge about that, so that will help them to respect what you're saying or to feel that you know what you're talking about. But if they feel that anything they say, you don't know what they're talking about, they're not going to even bother to say it or to even respect what you're saying. My opinion. Absolutely. Just here. With John, I can't do it. I don't know why. And sometimes I can't do it, even though I know it. Sometimes I'm just done. And that's when I say, John, take over because I can't do it right now. And when I think the, yani, I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing to do, but if you're feeling so angry, just give it over, hopefully, to the other person. But that's the thing, Yani. We tend to minimize our children's feelings. What they're feeling is real, and we can't take that away from them. And when we make them feel that what they're feeling is not important, they begin to fight us and not want to tell us anything. So you make them feel that what they're feeling is important. They have to learn to calm down on their own. You can't be there always to solve their problem for them. They have to learn to manage their emotion on their own, teaching them techniques. They're going to go to school, and you know what? 10 people are going to take the ball from them. You're not going to always be there to fix it for them. They have to calm down and fix it on their own. Again? Details, details, details. Details are so important. Everything. I question everything they do. I want to know every single thing that they do. And they're not going to just tell you. You have to ask and keep asking and keep asking everything they do. And eventually you're going to find out so much about their day, and they're going to like that you know so much about them. You have to know everything about them. And that's going to help them open up and want to talk to you. I know we have a lot of things to do, but even while you're cooking, you can ask them, oh, okay, while you're cutting up the onions, when you're crying, just say, how was your day? What did you do in class? And give them specifics. Make sure that you also let them know that you're listening to them when you're asking them the questions. They might be talking and you might not really be listening. Make sure you say, oh, so that happened? Make sure you know, you tell them that you heard what they said. Anything else, John? All right. Am I done here? أيمن فين نرفين؟ إيهاب تاني؟ إيهاب. Yes, absolutely. Not just from 10, from 100. It's a lot of work. It's very hard, but it's very important for our children. Very important. And I do agree that we need a lot of practice. Oh, I thought that was Nervine. I was so happy. I was going to hand over the mic to her. إيه؟ فنجان لسه ما خلصوش. أنا شفت يا هب قلت لي I'm not gonna finish the slides. And you have too many slides. خلصت هم لسه ما خلصوش. إيه؟ Close. Everyone's okay? Nvin, go ahead. John, she has a question. Same thing. Solve it. ال, ال, we do that, but that's just a solution اللي احنا we create it for them. We have to have them understand how Rachel or Brittany are feeling, and then come up with a solution. Sit with them. What's going on right now? What do you want? What does she want? How can we solve this? They're old enough to come up with a solution. If they do it once, good. Praise her. Tell her you did such a good job at that. Maybe even reward her. When she shares, reward her. Keep showing her, oh, now I'm going to give you something really good because you solved the problem and you shared. You go through the steps, but you make sure that she comes up with the solution and offers the solution to her sister. It's very hard, especially with siblings. They don't want to, they're with them each all day, every day. So it's very hard. But that's the best practice they have. Sometimes you have to, in the beginning, you let them try to solve it on their own. If it keeps happening, you have to intervene, practice the solutions with them, say it with her out loud. What are some solutions? Okay. Maybe that might be a solution, but that's something then she's going to have no toys. You don't come up with a solution. Yani, no. I would, that's an immediate thing that we can do. But in order to really have it, they have to come up with the solution. They have to think about it. They don't want to hear what we have to say. That's the easy way. And then it's just going to stop. It's going to happen again. You take away the toys from them, it's going to happen again. But you come up with a solution together and have her go tell Brittany or Rachie what the solution is. They work it out. They're going to learn that this is how they do it. But when you say, all right, I'm going to take all the toys and no one's playing with anything, it's going to solve it right then. But tomorrow, it's going to happen again. We're not teaching them how to solve it. We're just solving it for that minute for them. We're good? John, you want to take some time for prayer? Because we need a lot of prayer to learn how to do this. أكيد أنت يعني. There's no other John here. Jonathan is taking he told me 30 minutes. It's way more than 30 minutes. You guys are okay? Yes, absolutely. Yes, twins. Yeah, you don't want to. You have to teach him. If something like this happens, he has to come up with a solution. Yani that his personality is avoiding or just making the other person happy. But this is going to make him lose his self-esteem. He can't keep doing this. He needs to come up with a solution and speak up for himself. Teach him to speak up and come up with a solution and not always give in. Because this is going to it's easier for him to do this, but eventually it's going to hurt his personality. So you need to make sure you tell him, no, don't give it to him. Come up with a solution together, or come up with a solution, present it to your brother, and work it out together. Especially now they're old enough to come up with all that. So make sure you don't let him just keep giving in. It will absolutely affect his self-esteem. If they solve the problem together, it's one thing. It's good. But if they solve it because one of them is just keeps giving it to the other, you have to make sure that you tell him, no, I don't want this. Sit with them both even. Tell them this is not how we can solve the problem. Your brother cannot keep giving you what you want because it's easier. You have to sit together and solve the problem. Okay? Yes, Peter. Of how many? It's a lot of bullying, actually. You finished? Oh, thank God. Thank you. No, we finished. It's okay. I don't have statistics, but I can bring them and I can share them on the page if you want. I don't have them off the top of my head, Peter. Yes. No, it's actually very good to start now. Okay, you tell her, Sema, I know you're upset. Use your words. Use your words. Teach her that, Sema, I know you're upset and I know you're angry because you want this, but you cannot scream. Eventually, you're going to tell her, use your words, but don't give her what she wants when she screams. Tell her, no, don't scream, no screaming. And the first thing, the reason why she keeps screaming is every single time she screams, you give her what she wants. So she's going to learn this is the way she gets what she wants. But when you tell her, I know you're upset, it's actually very good to start now because you're going to help her to identify what she's feeling and tell her this is not how they understand. She might not be able to talk, but she's going to understand what you're saying. And then start it from there. I know you're upset. You want this, but you cannot cry in order for me to give it to you. Stop crying and then I'll give it to you. If she stops crying, you give it to her. I wouldn't give it to her unless she stops crying. That's the first way at her age to solve that problem. Again, as she gets older, you make her try to say what she's feeling. Me sad. Like just little words of her saying what she wants or saying what she's feeling. And then eventually you'll be able to actually you'll be able to get her to know what she's feeling, to not cry and scream every single time she wants something. Okay? But it is hard at the age of 1 or 2, one, right? 1.5. It is hard. Okay, John. Thank you, please. Thank you. John is bullying me. Him and Mark, they're bullying me. I need to go to someone, a specialist.
احنا بقالنا ايه 4 شهور تقريبا بنات وكده. آه اتمنى انه يكون السبليت ده عجبكم. دي اول مره نعمل كده، فلو انتوا شايفين كده وشايفين ان في مواضيع معينه، هي الفكره ان احنا نستخدم الحاجات اللي احنا الناس اللي موجوده هنا بحيث ان هم احنا نقدر نخدم بعض. يعني مثلا ليتس سي مثلا ناس كتير عندها بيزنس وناس عايزه تفتح بيزنس، فممكن نعمل سيمينار عن حاجه زي كده وهكذا. فهي الفكره ان احنا نقدر نستخدم المواهب اللي موجوده جوانا بحيث ان احنا نقدر نديفيد بعض. الاسبوع الجاي عندنا يوم تسبيح وصلاه مع جون إليشا، وبعدين ال3 اسابيع اللي بعديهم القسيس باسم جاي من مصر هيقعد معانا 3 اسابيع، فهيبقى وقت حلو قوي. ايه تاني؟ بس كده. ممكن نلم العطا وبعدين نختم بالتسبيح والصلاه. انتوا ايه اخباركم؟ كويسين؟ عرفتوا بقى تعملوا ايه في العيال وكده؟ فكله هيشتغل وكله هيظبط عياله، فدي حاجه حلوه جدا بالنسبه للكنيسه. جون.
انتوا لميتوا العطا؟ ممكن تقفل التاني، الكيبورد التاني مش هستعمله. نقف ونختم مع بعض. شايفينك وانت بتمشي يا رب بسلطانك وسطينا وبتعلن ملكك، ملك الحب يا منور أراضينا. الأرض دي ملكك يا ابن الله، أنت المالك فيها، أنت الرب وأنت الله العالي في وسطيها. الأرض دي ملك يا ابن الله، أنت المالك فيها، أنت الرب وأنت الله العالي في وسطيها. شايفينك وأنت بتمشي يا رب بسلطانك وسطينا، وبتعلن ملكك ملك الحب يا منور أراضينا. شايفينك وانت بتمشي يا رب سلطانك وسطينا، تعلن ملكك ملك الحب يا منور أراضينا. الأرض دي ملكك يا ابن الله، انت المالك فيها، انت الرب وانت الله العالي في وسطينا. الأرض دي ملكك، انت الرب وانت الله العالي في وسطيها. ماشيين وياك رافعين رايات ووعد غالية ثمينة، بالدم الغالي نشوف آيات ده صليبك يحمي. ماشيين وياك رافعين رايات ووعد غالية ثمين، بالدم الغالي نشوف آيات ده صليبك يحمي. الأرض دي ملكك يا ابن الله، انت المالك فيها، انت الرب وانت الله العالي في وسطيك. انت المالك فيها، انت الرب وانت الله العالي في وسطيك. عايشين لمسين وبكل يقين اعلن روحك فين، ويصير بايدينا وبك يا معين مجد من حوالينا. عايشين لمسين وبكل يقين اعلن ملكك لينا، يصير بايدينا وبك يا معين مجد من حوالينا. الأرض دي ملكك يا ابن الله، أنت المالك فيها، أنت الرب وأنت الله العالي في وسطينا. الأرض دي ملكك يا ابن الله، أنت الرب وأنت الله العالي في وسطينا. يا رب نشكرك، نعظم اسمك لأنك موجود في حياتنا. أشكرك يا رب لأن يا رب قدام تحديات يا رب المجتمع اللي احنا فيه، قدام يا رب كل يا رب اللي بيحاول يفرضوا العالم علينا، بنلاقيك يا رب تقدر تقف معانا وتسندنا وتدينا يا رب الحكمة ان احنا ازاي يا رب نعيش في وسط العالم لكن مختلفين عن العالم. يا رب بصلي يا رب انك تدينا نعمة وتدينا يا رب معونة إلهية من عندك عشان نعرف ازاي يا رب نتعامل مع أولادنا، نعرف ازاي نتعامل مع كل الناس اللي حوالينا. بصلي يا رب ان تعليمك الواضحة الحقيقية تثبت في حياتنا. يا رب قلت كده تعرفون الحق والحق يحرركم. يا رب بصلي لأجل حقك يا رب هو اللي يثبت. يا رب من فضلك يا رب ادينا حكمة، يا رب ادينا حكمة، ادينا حكمة يا رب. مكتوب عنك كده انت قلت انا الحكمة اسكن الذكاء واجد معرفة التدابير. يا رب ادينا نتعلم منك يا رب، ادينا يا رب نتبع خطواتك يا رب. يا رب ادينا يا رب صبر، ادينا يا رب قوة احتمال. اشكرك يا رب لان مفيش يا رب عندك مستحيل. اشكرك لانك تقدر يا رب تميز يا رب ولادك، وتقدر يا رب تدينا يا رب ازاي نتعلم يا رب. يا رب نعلم اولادنا ونحطهم في السكة اللي تشبع قلبك وتخدمك. أشكرك لأنك بتسمع وتستجيب. يا رب اسمعنا عندما ندعوك بالشكر القائلين يا أبانا الذي في السماوات تقدس اسمك، يأتي ملكوتك، تكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا كفافنا أعطنا اليوم، واغفر لنا ذنوبنا كما نغفر نحن أيضا من المذنبين إلينا، دخلنا في تجربة لكن نجنا من الشرير، لأن لك الملك